Hello, hello, hello. We are going live right now. We should be going live in the group. Let me know if you can hear me, and we're going to get this thing going. I'm looking at the comments over here. I see Jelena says, yo, does that mean you can hear me? Give me a message just real quick. I see All Nighter Hider. What's up, Hider? Do you hear me? Are we good? Let's see what we got. What's up? If you don't mind, just let me know if you can hear me, and we're going to get this thing going here. All right, all right. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are going live on the YouTube page. I got some, there's a lot of things going on I want to talk about, and so we'll do that. And I went live. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I haven't been going live in a long time. I used to go live, I think like once a week, and it's been a long time since I was going live on the YouTube channel. I went live like 2 weeks ago, and everybody just seemed to really like it. Lots of people asked for me to go live on a lot more regular basis, and so let's do it. It was fun. I had a good time. So I thought we would do that. So that's what we're doing here. I'm just going to do a couple things, wait for a couple more people to show up. We're going to get through a lot of questions. That's what we're here for tonight. I want to talk about some things that are going on in the supply chain, things that are going on with energy, things like that, things that you need to know about. And then we're just going to go through the questions. Now, I'm also going live. This is the first time I have had the super chats on. So I've never done the super chats. So if you are a super chat user, make sure to send me a super chat. We'll make sure to shout you out, make sure we get your questions answered for sure. I see lots of people. What's up, Kevin, Glick, Stitchy, DC Precise. All right, James Magnum. The power is back. Yeah, the power is back. That's right. So, I've been doing a lot of videos lately about the problems that we're having with the supply chains, and everything is kind of like a domino effect, right? Obviously, at this point, the entire world is connected together, and so it's almost like when we have a problem one place, it just starts triggering. Problems everywhere else. And so that's kind of what we're seeing. We started seeing power energy problems. So it started with natural gas, and then the natural gas is needed to make electricity. So when natural gas gets shorted, the price goes up. Electricity companies, the price they go up pays, which then means the price that you pay for electricity goes up. But also it means that the electricity companies don't have enough money to survive, and they start going out of business. We've seen over a dozen go out of business in Europe. Then after that, then we start seeing natural gas is also being used to make fertilizer, and now we don't make fertilizer. And if we don't make fertilizer, then guess what happens next? Then we don't make food. So we have food starts backing up. The natural gas is also used to make CO2, which is then used to process meat for protein. So then we don't have a meat, we can't process the food, and that creates more problems. In addition, all that energy is needed to transport the stuff around, so to put it onto ships, to put it onto trucks, etc. And so when we don't have enough energy, or the energy prices go up, then all the transport costs go up, and then the prices go up as well. And you can start to see how this starts to trigger really quickly. I see AKS says the Cobra effect. It's kind of like the Cobra effect, but the Cobra effect is a little bit different. Um, the Cobra effect is basically how whenever the government tries to do one thing, there's unintended consequences of that. And so basically what the Cobra effect is in India, they had too many cobras. Cobras are a deadly snake. And so they said, hey, we need to get rid of these cobras. They're deadly. And so what we'll do is for everybody that goes and gets a cobra, kills it, and brings it into the city, to the government, we'll pay you money for it. And so everybody did. They went out and collected all the cobras, and they were getting a lot of money. Then people started to actually breed cobras just so they could kill them and bring them in and get paid. And then after a while, the governments realized these people are just raising cobras now to bring them in. This is ridiculous. And let's cancel the program. So they canceled the program, and then all the people that were raising cobras just said, well, what are we going to do with the cobras now? Well, let's just let them all go. And they ended up with more cobras after the policy than they had before they started. That's what the Cobra effect is. It's about those unintended consequences. And so that's kind of what's happening, right? The policy makers have tried to control one aspect of the economy, of the market, by trying to restrict a certain type of energy, and then it creates all types of other problems that they weren't aware of. And just like in that Cobra effect, so good analogy, just like the Cobra effect, it's actually way worse. So what do I mean by that? What they wanted to do is they want to get rid of whatever they apparently call dirty energy, and they want to go to clean energy. The cleanest energy is really nuclear, but they don't want that either. And so basically, they've shut down coal, they shut down natural gas, they shut down nuclear, and so what was left was wind and solar, and that doesn't produce enough. It just doesn't work right now. And so right now, as I'm speaking, just today, there was news headlines all over that they're starting to spin coal plants back up. And so they've shut down the nuclear and the gas, natural gas, which is pretty clean. And now because of that, they have to go back to coal, which is the dirtiest of them all. So kind of like the Cobra effect, it's actually worse after they got done than it was before. In addition to that, they say lots of people are going to be freezing to death in Europe this year because they don't have natural gas to heat their homes. In addition, they're saying that the food shelves are going to be empty this year because they can't make enough food. I've been hearing in the United States from farmers. As a matter of fact, I was getting some messages earlier today, and they were talking about how even the farm equipment is so backed up. So, for example, tires for tractors. I drive a truck, and I know that just to get tires for my truck is about a 9-month back order to get those tires right now. But they're saying tires for a tractor could take a year and a half or more to get. Well, if you need a tractor tire to plow your field, you need that tire right now. And it's not like these farmers just sit on a bunch of extra spare tires. And now they can't get them. As a matter of fact, the farmers are reporting in the United States that if they need a new piece of farm equipment or parts to fix it, they may not. They said if they order now, at best case scenario, they'll have it in the spring of 2023. Now, if they don't get it in time in the spring of 23, they miss the spring planting, which means they may go all the way through 2020 to the end of 2023, the fall season, without planting, without food. That means 2 years without food. You're seeing this is not something that's transitory. It's not something that's going to be going away very, very quickly. All right, all right. What do we got? Central banks cause these supply chain messes. Can't print trillions out of thin air without causing inflation and product outages. That's Jeffrey Marshall. Well, Jeffrey Marshall, you're absolutely right. The central banks did cause these supply chain messes. It's not just central banks, though. Well, central banks are the start. It's due to central planning. That's what's the cause of it. And so whenever you have a complex system, like the body is a complex system, you can't just treat one piece of the body without causing problem somewhere else, and the market is also the same. So the market is a complex system, and if you try to affect one area of the market, you have all these other areas of the market that are affected by it. And so it's central planning, sort of like the central banks. Silver Charms is a systematically intentional. I don't. Yes and no. Definitely, some people. There are some people in leadership positions, I don't know if that's the right word to use, that do intentionally want to wreck this. And so we know that as fact. It's not conspiratorial. Mark Carney, who's arguably one of the most connected people in the world, most influential probably, he wrote a book called Values. I would encourage each of you to go read that book. And in that book, he tells you that people think the future will be better, but it won't be. People have to understand in the future they won't be able to travel, they won't be able to eat meat, they won't be able to drive their car. This is what he's promising you. And he's probably one of the most influential people in the world right now. So some of these people, it is systematic. I think a lot of the other people are just kind of ignorant, and they think they can manage things. They think the market is sort of like a engine they could build and run, but the reality is it's not. SC says, you guys worry too much, and then you'll own nothing and still be happy. Well, I'm going to own lots of things, and I'll be happy. I don't know about all that. Um, I see Nate H says, is this a good time to put money into gold and silver? I think it is if you have the long game in mind. And so, the problem that I see today is that everybody's trying to get in with these very, very short time perspectives. And if I don't make a 500% on my money in the next 30 days, then the investment sucks. What is happening is leading to an inevitable crash. I believe that gold will have a good store of value if you're prepared to wait through this. Now, unfortunately, gold and silver have not been acting that well, have acting that good for us since about August of last year, about a year. And so you would think if it should ever be working, it should be right now. So if you're in gold and silver, I think, and if you take this, a multi-year approach to it, I think you'll do good. JN says, can't wait for Miami. Yeah, talking about Miami. So, boy, things are crazy. And so I am having a live event in Miami. Thanks so much for bringing that up, JN. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and just put it into the chat right here. It's just marketdisruptorslive.com. And I am having a live event. I'm having about 15 of my friends, of the top analysts in the world, that focus on what is going on in the world today. A lot of you know some of my friends. Good old buddy George Gammon will be there talking. I got Gerald Salente, who's been on my channel. He's coming to talk. I got some of my other good friends, Robert Breedlove. I got Brent Johnson. We have about 15 people that focus on what's going on. And they're going to tell you what they think is going to happen over the next couple of years. And most importantly, what you need to be doing to be prepared for this. So come hang out with them, hang out with me. It's going to be a good time. Thanks for bringing that up, JN. Um, 50 David asks, which state do you think has the best chance in terms of energy? I notice you tend to leave hydroelectric power out of the question also. Well, 50 David, it's not that I tend to leave hydroelectric power out of the equation. The problem with hydroelectric power is the same as the problem with wind power and solar power, is that some call it renewable. It's also called unreliable. And so the problem with hydro this year specifically is that there's been an unusually drought year and it didn't rain enough, and so it didn't produce enough hydropower. Throughout Asia, parts of California have also had the same problem with hydropower, and so it's unreliable. If you get a low rain year, then you have no power. In Europe, they have a lot of wind, and they had a low wind year. Who would have figured? And so they didn't have a lot of power. So that's the problem with hydro, problem with wind, the problem with solar. They're unreliable. You don't know when they're going to produce power, and of course, when you need power, you need it. AKS47S is saying Bitcoin 2022. No, I'm having my own event called Market Disruptors Live. It's going to be next month, in a month from now, almost exactly a month from now in Miami. AKS47, it's marketdisruptorslive.com. So it's a separate event, not the Bitcoin Miami event. Julie Wilson says food is gold. That's a good point, Julie. A lot of people think that money is wealth and that we can just create more wealth by creating more money. But that's not true, right? Wealth is goods and services. If you and I were stuck on a deserted island and we had $1 billion in a briefcase, but we had no food, we had no boat, no phone to call for help, no nothing. That $1 billion is absolutely worthless. It's only good if it can buy us goods and services, and of course, food is that. So food is, of course, going to be the most valuable thing. Now, all value is subjective. There's no such thing as intrinsic value. All value is subjective. So, for example, I went out to dinner last night. I had leftovers. I threw them away. But if I was on that stranded island, I would give that entire $1 billion for those leftovers. So sometimes leftovers are worthless, and sometimes they're worth a lot of money. And so all value is not intrinsic; it's subjective based off of that type of a situation. JC says, I noticed Warren Buffett does not like Bitcoin. What can you say about that? Thanks. Love your vids. JC, so Warren Buffett doesn't like Bitcoin. Warren Buffett doesn't like a lot of things. As a matter of fact, Warren Buffett, uh, I quote Warren Buffett all the time. Of course, he's one of the best investors in history. The the thing about Warren Buffett is that he grew up under the Benjamin Graham School of Value Investing, and unfortunately, due to the Federal Reserve, due to the central bank policies that we have today, value investing is, I don't want to say dead, but it's kind of dead. Today, businesses are not in the business of making money anymore. Today, businesses are in the business of raising money. And so, if you look at Warren Buffett's track record over the last decade, or really 2 decades, it's actually been pretty bad. So he hasn't really kept up with this new style of investing where there's not value investing. In addition, he says that he likes to buy assets that make money, which of course makes sense, which we all should. So he wants to buy Coca-Cola that can continue to make Coca-Cola forever and produce money. Or he likes See's candy that can make chocolate forever and make money. Gold doesn't make any money. It just sits there. Bitcoin doesn't make any money. It just sits there. And so that's why he doesn't like it, for those reasons. And he's probably really old. And the older you are, the less likely you are to go for a digital asset. Um, Thiago says in Portugal, electricity costs are over the roof, and gasoline and diesel already raised the prices 35 times just this year. People are getting desperate. Yeah, Thiago, and it is only getting started. I hate to say that, but it's only getting started now. These energy this energy crisis, as you're saying in Portugal, you're having, it's happening all over the world. It's going to only get worse throughout the winter. But times of volatility like this, for the majority of people who aren't paying attention, it's catastrophic. It's disastrous. They lose everything. However, it's also presenting us with a lot of really good opportunities. And so there's certain sectors in the energy market. When natural gas goes up 800%, well, as an investor, there's a lot of money to be made. And so this energy sector, bad as it is for the majority of people, for us, if we're paying attention, if we're getting into the right positions, there's a lot of money to be made. And we're making a lot of money in my insiders group. As a matter of fact, on Thursday, I'm going to hold another live event that won't be on YouTube. It's going to be private, where we're going to talk about the energy sector specifically and sectors of the energy market that I think are the best to make money, the sectors that we're making money in. If you want to come to that, I don't do that on YouTube because I say things that I may not be able to say on YouTube. So I'll put a link. It's in the chat right now. So if you want to come to that, that's Thursday night. It's not going to be on YouTube. I'm going to do it on a different platform, so I'm more free to speak. I'll show you what's going on in the energy market, what I'm doing to navigate that. Um, So Telltale Crypto asks, Mark, will the new Bitcoin ETF crash the market? So big news. Tomorrow, the Bitcoin ETF goes live. Now, I believe it's been 7 years, I think since 2013, so it's maybe 8 years, they've been trying to get a Bitcoin ETF to go through. And it finally is through. It goes live tomorrow. A lot of people think that the Bitcoin ETF was going to bring a ton of money into the market and will blow the price of Bitcoin up. Some people, like this question here, Telltale Crypto is asking, will it crash the market? Of course, we have no crystal ball. We have no way to know. But I don't think it's going to crash the market. I think it will continue to push the market higher. I think it could easily push the price of Bitcoin up to $100,000 based off of the amount of money that's coming in. The ETF market is huge. I believe it's about an $8 trillion market cap compared to Bitcoin is only a $1 trillion market cap. So we have about $8 trillion plus the ETF market's growing by 26% a year. So if that Bitcoin ETF gets in place and 8 trillion is growing 26% a year, I think a lot of that money could come into Bitcoin and could push the price way up. Now, I'm not personally a fan of the ETF. I would not advise any of you to use the Bitcoin ETF. I think you're much better off just buying Bitcoin directly. If you buy Bitcoin ETF, you're going to be paying a lot of fees. There's going to be arbitrage traders that are going to be taking their fees. You're going to have to pay the ETF fund itself, and you're going to pay their technical people and their attorneys, and all these different people are going to get a slice of the pie. And at the end, they're going to be as a matter of fact, I have a video coming out tomorrow. I want to break down the problems with those ETFs, and I'll show you the problems of how they roll the fees over and how the longer you hold that, the more expensive it gets. And so the average person is going to be better just to sit down and just to hold the Bitcoin directly. I'm also not a fan of the Bitcoin ETF because if you really want to break things down to the most basic, prices work off of supply and demand. So if there's more demand for Bitcoin, more people want Bitcoin, and there's not enough Bitcoin to go around, the price goes up, right? It's easy. Well, if now they have a way to go buy Bitcoin ETF, they don't have to buy the actual Bitcoin, then it doesn't affect the supply and demand of Bitcoin. An ETF, they're basically betting on the price of Bitcoin, not buying Bitcoin directly. And so because of that reason, I think it's bad for Bitcoin. Now, there are two types of ETFs. There's what's known as a futures-based ETF, and then there's a spot ETF. And so the futures one is where they're just betting on the future price. They're not buying it directly. And then there's the spot ETF where they're actually buying Bitcoin. The spot ETF would be way better. I'd be much more. I'd like to see that one much better. However, that is not what the SEC approved. The SEC approved a futures-based one. So that's what we're going to have right now. Right, look at that, Jethro, Jughead, one. I got a super chat. I got a tip, my first one. All right, Jethro from the UK. Love and respect to you, Mark, my brother. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, Jethro from the UK. Andre P says, great to meet you in Dallas. Hey, Andre, good to meet you too. Any thoughts on opportunities to capitalize on the supply chain issues? As always, first class content. To capitalize on the supply chain issues, for me personally, I like to focus on the energy side. So the energy side is what's causing a lot of the supply chain issues. For the supply chain issues themselves, I think some of the good places to look at would be some of the containers. Containers are a really good play right now. Some of the big shipping companies are good plays. And then I think some of the big beneficiaries, I mean, Amazon is a big beneficiary of this. And what we've seen now is Amazon is actually setting up their own supply chains. They're actually getting their own ships and their own planes to fly their cargo around. We're going to see more of the small mom and pops going out of business. We'll see more wealth accumulate at the top. So for supply chain specifically, I think those are good places to go. Um, I see Obey Kwan keeps asking over and over and over, beginner crypto advice, please. So beginner crypto advice, very, very simple. Buy Bitcoin. Very simple. You can go to swanbitcoin.com. You can go to Coinbase. You can go to Kraken. You can go to Gemini. I don't know where you live. There's a lot of places to buy Bitcoin. You buy Bitcoin. You hold Bitcoin. And that's the beginner crypto advice. That's the easiest thing to do. It's the best thing that you can do. Why is stack sats? That's right. That's right. Um, John Garvin asks, is the Miami event going to be live streamed? So there, with the general admission ticket, you have an option to attend in person or to have it virtual live stream. So you do have that option if that's what you want. However, I understand for some people out of the country, it's difficult to get to Miami. However, if you can get there, you should. And the reason why is because probably the most important thing, in my opinion, is your network. All of the deals that I've ever gotten from the time when I bought my first real estate project when I was 18 years old, even to today, my just literally about 30 minutes before I got on, my friend just sent me a new deal that I'm going to get into. Probably maybe one of the biggest potential deals I've ever got into, and it was sent by a friend of mine. And so it's all about the network. They say your network is your net worth. But even more importantly today, as this world is cracking apart, you need to have other people you're aligned with. I'm sure each one of you have seen a lot of your relationships have become strained. And so you need to find people you're aligned with. And so you need to get to a live event to meet people like me, shake my hand, hang out. All the speakers will be there. You can meet them, turn them into mentors, but you're going to meet all the other people in the crowd. You'll make lifelong friends. You'll have people that are like-minded. And that is the most important thing, to have that community around you, especially as the world continues to get more and more crazy. So get there if you can. I was gonna have the live event after the first of the year, but I'm afraid there's a chance we may not be able to meet in person at the end of next year, and so we're going to do it now. So don't miss this opportunity. Just go to marketdisruptors.com for that. Ghost Music, is 60K the new Bitcoin bottom? Also, what's the best real estate play, commercial or residential? So a couple questions there. I don't think 60K the new Bitcoin bottom. Uh, Probably not. I mean, I'm sure it's going to go up and down some more. Um, I try not to look at the short-term price prediction. I say over and over and over that when you're looking at a new technology, something new like Bitcoin, the price, the short-term price, is a distraction. The way that you evaluate new technologies like Bitcoin are two measures, not by price. The first one is something called network effects. So that's like Metcalfe's law. The bigger the network gets, the more valuable it becomes. So for example, if I'm the only person in the world with a phone, it's not worth a lot of money. If two people have a phone, it becomes more valuable. When everybody in the world has a phone, it becomes more valuable. Same with Facebook. If I'm the only person on Facebook, not very valuable. When two people are on Facebook, it's more valuable. When 3 billion people are on Facebook, it becomes more valuable. So that's the network effects. And so what you want to do is you want to look at the network effects of Bitcoin. Is it continuing to grow? So obviously, we've seen the amount of individual people using it. The individual wallets has continued to grow. We've seen now corporations and hedge funds start to use it. Now we've seen the financial institutions start to use it. Now we're seeing countries using it. So the network effects are growing. The second thing we want to look for is the development happening. Is the development happening? And so most of the crypto projects have zero development going on. But the Bitcoin development is happening very rapidly. As a matter of fact, most people have no idea the amount of development that's happening on the Bitcoin network. So for example, did you know there's a phone now that you can actually call over the Bitcoin network? Did you know there's now communities where I can have all my YouTube videos and my podcasts and I can have chat with my community, and it's all being done over the Bitcoin network? Did you know that some of the brightest people in the world, like the CFO of Bridgewater Capital, left and started to work for a Bitcoin company? So that's the development. So you have the network effects and you have the development. Those are the two things you want to look at, not the price. And so when people ask me what the short term, where's Bitcoin going to be by the end of the year, I don't really care. I don't really care. I'm not looking at that short of a time frame. Gary Peters, you missed the link. What'd you miss the link for, Gary? Was it for the live event? The live event is marketdisruptorslive.com. And then if you want to come to my event on Thursday, it's just a virtual event I'm doing live. I'll put it here in the chat roll again. We're going to talk about the energy market, the best places to invest in this energy sector crisis right now. So Gary, I put that into the chat roll. Keep Calm is asking on the ETF future, so the funds will not really influence the Bitcoin price. Well, they will. So the way it works is there's something called contango. And so what happens is, let's say that I could buy a December 20, I could sell Bitcoin in December for say 63,800. So I can enter a contract that somebody is contracted to buy Bitcoin from me in December for 63,800. But today I could buy it for 63,000. So that means I could buy it now at 63,000, guaranteed to sell it for 63,800. That means I have a guaranteed risk-free spread of $800. Now that may not sound like a lot of money, but when you're a hedge fund with billions of dollars, that becomes a lot of money risk-free. And so what happens is that continues to push the price higher and higher and higher as more people buy that Bitcoin to deliver that Bitcoin. So it can. Not as much as if they just bought the Bitcoin directly though. Mike Elizarev is asking about potential relocation, safe countries. Thank you, Mark Work. Mike, so this is something that I spend a lot of time focusing on, a lot of time talking about. As a matter of fact, I just had an interview go on my channel yesterday with Katie the Russian, and I highly recommend you to go watch it. The problem today is that there's just nowhere in the world that you can go to have it all. And so you need to find out what's the most important for you and then match those things. So like, let me give you an example. So some people want to go somewhere where there's no taxes. Okay, so you can go to no taxes, but then you might give up a little bit more freedoms. Some people want to move to Sweden where there's no restrictions, but there's 50% taxes. And so what are you optimizing for? I want to be by the beach, so then I have to optimize for the beach. Some people don't want to be by the beach. And so there's different things for different people. Go watch that video with Katie the Russian. As a matter of fact, Katie the Russian will be at my live event, and she's actually holding a workshop. So she's going to have a workshop for a couple hours where people are going to come in and she's going to explain all the intricacies, what the different countries are, how you can get passports in different countries, what the benefits are of this multi-flag theory, how you can do jurisdictional arbitrage, what that even means. So there's going to be a workshop so you can literally get the work done while you're there and leave with a plan. It's a good reason to come. MarketDisruptorsLive.com. Come see Katie the Russian's workshop live. Oh, look at that. I got another super chat. Brado Jacko. All right, I'll answer your question next. How exactly is the supply chain disruption being maintained so completely by globalists? What exactly are they doing to cause ships to be stuck, etc.? Well, Brado Jacko, it's not being done so completely by the globalists. As a matter of fact, it's not really in their control. What's happening is that it's completely out of their control. What they've done, it's through their policies, through centralization. So what do I mean by that? Well, one, you turn the economy off. You shut everything down. Everyone goes home. And then you turn it back on and you flood the world with $10 trillion. So remember, as I was saying earlier, money is not wealth. Goods and services are wealth. So when you have more money chasing the same amount of goods and services, what happens? The prices of those goods and services go up. Now, what if you have more money chasing less goods and services? Then that goes up. So what happens is you shut the whole economy down. Everyone goes home, no one's working, and then you dump in a bunch of money, and then everybody's starting to buy stuff like crazy. And you can't turn the economy on and off like a switch. Then, on top of it, what you do is you pass regulations that prevent entrepreneurs and businesses from doing things that could even help and alleviate that. So, let me give you an example. I'm over here in Puerto Rico. We have like these little air conditioners in the wall. Well, right now, you can't get any air conditioners. As a matter of fact, it could take 6 months to get an air conditioner. Well, there's plenty of them in Florida. I could just go to Florida, buy 2 dozen of them, put them on a ship, and ship them over here. But then they have to go through customs, and then the government won't let me get them through. So it's the policies that are keeping things from opening up. The other thing that's happening is that because of the central bank policies, um, because we have this inflationary money, what happens is when prices go up, two things would happen. One, people would buy less, right? When the prices go up, people buy less, so that helps with the supply demand issue. The other thing is that when the price goes up, more businesses produce more goods, and so that should be happening. But because they've dumped in $10 trillion, prices have gone up, but people don't care. They're still going to buy anyway because there's $10 trillion sloshing in the system. In addition, the manufacturers should be providing more goods. So people should be buying less. The demand goes down. Manufacturers should make more goods. The supply goes up. But the problem is those manufacturers can't. It's too expensive because now the cost has increased to increase their capacity. And so, Brado, Jacko, to answer your question, they haven't maintained it so completely. It's their policies are having this domino effect and just bringing everything down around it. Thanks for the super chat tip, by the way, Brado, Jacko. I appreciate that. SAS Crypto is asking, is Pomp coming? Yes, Pomp is coming to speak. Pomp is coming. Breedlove is coming. It's going to be amazing. Let me just pull up a whole list. I can't even remember it, but top of my head here. Gerald Salente, he's a legend. He's coming. Like I said, my buddy George Gammon's coming. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, Anthony Pompliano, Brent Johnson, George Gammon, Gerald Sente. Greg Foss is a legend. Greg Foss is going to be there. Katie the Russian is going to be there holding a workshop, as I said. The legend, 25 years, the godfather of natural medicine, and now the #1 target of censorship, Dr. Joe Morcola is going to be there talking about how to increase your health. Health should be considered an asset today. And he's going to talk about censorship since he's the #1 target. Mike Dillard's going to come and teach you how to build cash flow. It's the #1 requested thing to have there, how to build cash flow. Got my good buddy Yaya Bakar coming to talk about asset protection, to lower your tax liability and increase your asset protection so you don't end up owning nothing by 2030. Stefan Livera, he's coming to talk about living the life on the run. He is on the run from his own country in Australia. Yeah. I see Mark. Hit the like button for Mark. That's right. Hit that like button right now. If you want me to keep doing these live streams, like I said, I'm doing this one because the response was so overwhelming before. And if you want me to keep doing these, hit that like button. Leave me some comments. Let me know you want me to do this, and we'll keep doing more of them. Of course, if you really want to make sure your question gets answered, because there's so many in here, send me a super chat, and I'll make sure to answer the question. I see a couple of people are asking about Zillow. Is Zillow in trouble? Questions about shorting Zillow. So I see a few questions about Zillow. So for people that aren't aware of what's going on with Zillow, first of all, Zillow is a website that tracks the price of homes all over the country, and so you can pull up your zip code, see homes for sale, tells you what their Zestimate is, what they estimate to be. Zillow and there's a few other companies like that have got into this kind of like robot, kind of algorithmic deal where they're trying to buy and sell homes. The problem with real estate is that real estate is very localized, and so like a house just a few blocks away may not be worth the same as another house, and so they've gotten into a lot of trouble. They've been overpaying for their houses, and they're taking a beating. Like they're losing so much money left and right, and so I'm guessing that's why you're asking, is now the time to short Zillow? I would say no. I typically don't like to short things. I typically go on a trend. So if the market started crashing and the trend changed down, then I might jump in and ride the market down. But I'm not trying to pick a perfect top or bottom. Careers very, very, very high level, high profile careers have been ruined from people trying to short Tesla, for example. And so while Zillow's model is horrible and it should fail, the reality is that they're probably going to continue to get money from the Fed and from the hedge funds and from the institutions, and they could stay solvent a lot longer than you could stay solvent trying to short them. So I wouldn't do that, but they are in trouble. I think they're going to have to change their business model. Let's see what other questions we have here. Eric Johnson says, super intrigued by your El Salvador documentary, making the nation state obsolete. The future is indeed decentralized. Yeah, that's a really cool project that I'm doing down there in El Salvador. El Salvador overall is an amazing project. Until you actually get their boots on the ground, you can't really understand how powerful that is. So really cool. If you haven't seen that El Salvador project video, it's on the YouTube channel. You should definitely go watch that to see what's going on down there. Kyle says UK plebs in the house. What's up, Kyle? Thanks for coming in. The like, yep, that's right. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. That's right. Jeffrey Marshall says, won't the price on containers go down once the 100,000 or so of them sitting off California coast get emptied? Um, well, Jeffrey, they'll get emptied, but don't you think they'll get filled back up? Don't you think they need to go back and get more supplies? That's kind of what the Federal Reserve says, right? This is transitory. Eventually, things are going to get caught up, and then eventually things will get caught up and things go back to normal. But as I was just saying before, like they're saying now, like tractors, farm equipment, even tires may not be delivered until the spring of 2023. The spring of 2023. That's a year and a half away. So is it transitory? Will this get cleared up? Sure. But Jeffrey, I mean, it could take a year and a half, it could take 2 years, it could take longer. The problem is, Jeffrey, is that the policies they're putting in place to fix this, so like Biden says now, he's going to go fix the problem in the LA ports. Well, please don't. The more help you give, the more problems you create. And so I don't see this getting better anytime soon, Jeffrey Marshall. Travis Bison Bull Tolliver says, any promo codes for the Miami event? It will be coming down. I will be coming down. Well, Travis Bison Bull, oh, sounds like a good name. I can't wait to meet you. I believe tickets are still on sale. I think only for the next 2 more weeks. I think in the month they go up. So I don't have a promo code, but they are on discount right now. So get them while you still can. That's a cool name, Bison Bull. Can't wait to meet you. Tiger Roll said, I understand many cryptos are faster and cheaper to buy and sell and trade for goods than Bitcoin. So Tiger Roll, that was true in 2017. It's not true in 2021. So again, I was in El Salvador. I used it. I used it to buy coffee every morning. I used it to buy pupusas on the side of the road. Using Lightning to transfer Bitcoin, it's faster and cheaper and more private than any other cryptocurrency. Faster, cheaper, and more private. So in 2017, Tiger Roll, that was a good argument. It's not true today anymore. Bronzy Gold Model says I need moderators. I have moderator in the group. Do I need more than one? Henty says Mark Moss is the Neo. Nice. Uh, Roxanne Yee says, why do you spend so much time giving us this info? What's the point you feel rather than just keep this information to yourself and enjoy life yourself? Well, first of all, I do enjoy life myself. Why do I feel like I should share it with others? Well, when I was getting started in my investing career, one of my mentors via a newsletter, um, this guy named Porter Stansberry, and he would always start off his week's letter, and he would say, "I'm going to tell you what I wish I knew if I was on the other side of the table." And I just love that, and it helped me in my career so much that I feel that the same way. That's one piece. The other piece is that I have kids, and I'm not happy with the way the world is going. And if there's anything I can do to change it, I'm going to do it. And so the more people that I can wake up, if you watch my YouTube videos, you know on every show I start off with the screen and I say, I'm not here to wake up the sleeping sheep. I'm here to wake up the waking lion, wake up the sleeping lions. And so if I can help one person, I'm making an impact. And that's why I do that. I know Roxanne Yee, I know a lot of people don't understand that. Why would you do something just to be nice? Because that's what we do. I take care of people that can't eat. I help people. I build houses for people that don't have homes. Go watch my El Salvador video and you'll see what I do. I did that. I'm not making money on that. I've spent money out of my own pocket to go help those people in El Salvador. Go watch that video. That's what people do. We take care of other people. We're supposed to. Bob Harvey, where's the event, Mark? The event is in Miami, Bob Harvey. Go to Market Disruptors Live, marketdisruptorslive.com. You'll find out. I see a bunch of people asking about Shibu. I see Anthony Monorat asking about it. I've seen a bunch of people asking about Shibu. So Shibu is a cryptocurrency that just took off. Some people made some money. The problem with chasing pumps like that is that there's no fundamental reason why Shibu would go. And so you're basically gambling. Now, when I gamble on a football game, for example, I've studied this team. I know that, the other team, their opponent, their quarterback's injured. This guy can run faster than this guy. The matchups are different. And so at least I have a little bit of an edge. But when you're buying, Shibu, there's zero reason why that should go up. Oh, because Elon named his dog that. But like that is doesn't tell me why it would go up. And so for every one of those stories, just like my friends who bet big on sports or my friends that bet big in Vegas, I hear all the stories of how much money they win. Big money. I mean, they'll come. One of my friends. I mean, he'd come home $100,000, $200,000 from Vegas, but he would also have more trips where he lost that much money. And so for every one of those stories that you hear, if somebody made all that money in Shibu, there's 10x amount those people that lost money in Shibu. There's no fundamental reason. So I like to buy things that have fundamental reasons why they'll go up in value. Remember, supply and demand. So what is the supply and the demand? Do I want to be in energy right now? Well, we can see that we don't have enough energy to go around. When there's not enough energy to go around, what happens? The price goes up. Natural gas is up 800%. Electricity is up 400%. There's a way I can make money with that. Why would Bitcoin? There's an ETF. There's going to be giant institutional demand. The demand goes up. The supply is fixed. The price goes up, right? There's reasons to understand that. Shibu doesn't have those factors. And so you're basically buying it with no understanding of why it might go up. All Nighter Hyder says, got to space out events too. RCLs in January. That's right, Hyder. That's right. It is. Julie Wilson. Let's see. I see Gata Miata. What is your commentary on USA water supply in a crisis, especially for people without wells? Does government have any plan, any advice more than hand pumps for wells? I mean, obviously, it depends on where you live. So in California, right, for example, they have water problems currently. And if you're in places that rain a lot, then they don't have water problems. I think today, I think today, water filters are so easy to use. I was at Costco the other day, and they had like the straws that you can put like in any little stream or water puddle, and you can just suck right out of. So have some water filtration. Set up a water system at your house. You should do that anyway, and have some of those things. I think you'll be okay. Water is not the big thing now. If you were, had your own farm, you're growing your own crops, then you have a different demand. For the average person, I don't know if there's a big problem with water. At least that's the big risk I'm thinking now about. I do keep extra water, so we have 5-gallon jugs of water, and we keep a bunch of extra on hand all the time. Um, Armando Aguilar, all-nighter hider, always on George's live streams. Well, I guess you are too, Armando. George and I are good buddies. As a matter of fact, I met all-nighter hider at George. George and I had a meetup together. I think it was a year ago. As a matter of fact, in Phoenix, Arizona, and Hyder came, and so I've known Hyder ever since, and I see him around. We talk all the time. So that's the benefit of going to a live event, to be able to actually make relationships. I know Ryan. I know All Nighter Hyder Ryan. George knows him as well. He comes to our events. We say hi. We talk online. So that's the benefit of coming. He came a year ago, and now we know who he is. That's why I recommend all of you come. So come to marketdisruptorslive.com. Bronzy Gold model says, how can I get some Bitcoin for my 10-year-old? I'm in London. Well, 10-year-old can't get their own Bitcoin account, so you're going to have to buy it for them. So just go to any of the exchanges where you can buy Bitcoin, buy it for them, and you're probably going to want to hold it for them. Um, Ignite says, hit the like button because Mark is the man. That's right. Hit that like button. Come on, give me some likes if you want me to keep doing these live streams. Um, Someone says live near lakes. Yeah. So if you're worried about water, that's something you can think about. Um, All right, here's one. Chris Eustis says, "Do you think about the proposed action to buy the do you think about the proposed action by the administration to curtail cryptocurrencies to maintain control of the reserve currency?" Well, so I don't know what proposed action you're talking about necessarily. So, in the infrastructure bill that they're trying to get through, there's all kinds of junk that's in that bill. Part of it is there's a provision to really kind of surveil, make the different algorithms and the different protocols collect data, report data, things like that. That could become onerous. That could be tough for some of the developers to adhere to. So maybe you're talking about that. Just in the last week, we saw Jerome Powell from the Federal Reserve and we saw Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC. Both said we will not ban Bitcoin. They both said it. We will not ban Bitcoin. Now they just approved an ETF, and there's going to be billions of dollars flowing into that. All the big financial firms in the United States are in it. There's dozens and dozens of senators and congressmen that own Bitcoin now, and so the chance of them making it illegal is pretty much, it's not zero, but it's almost zero. So as far as this question, Chris Eustis, do you think the proposed action by the administration to curtail cryptos to maintain control? I don't think they're doing that necessarily. I think the actions they're taking aren't to maintain control, but rather they're trying to get as much tax extracted out of the system as they can. So they also passed another bill, what's in the infrastructure bill, to monitor every single bank account over $600. So every bank account over $600 is going to be reported to the IRS. And again, that's so they can just continue to extract tax out of the system. So I think that's probably what they're doing more. Jennifer Brown says, Mark, how do you manage travel with all of the, where'd it go? How do you manage travel with all the medicine requirements? Well, Jennifer, I've been traveling a lot and it hasn't really been an issue. Maybe that's because I'm mainly traveling to places that it isn't an issue. So, for example, I haven't gone over to Europe, but I've been all over Mexico, I've been all over Central America, and I've been all over the United States as well. I have not had anything more than a PCR test to have to go to those places, and so that's it. If there's other places that I'd like to go, like Fiji, for example, you can't go there. You can't travel to Fiji. Can't go to Bali. So I'm not going to those places. But the travel that I've done is places that I can go. Like I said, mostly just the U.S., Central America, and Mexico. Scott H says Mark is the defender of humanity. Well, I don't know about that, but I'm definitely trying to help be the defender of freedom as best I can. TY Puppy says, what are your thoughts on the Celsius network? I think they're a U.S. based company. They're a regulated company. So from that perspective, I like them because at least I don't think they're going to do some sort of a rug pull, fraud, disappear with your money. The owner, the founder, Alex Mashinsky, is a personal friend. I like him. So I like the people there. They're in the United States. I think they're regulated enough where they're not going to disappear with your money. Now, could there be something bad happen? Could they make some risky gambles and lose their money? It could happen. But they have a huge war chest because of their sell token that I think would absorb any losses they had before they'd pass those on to customers. Because if customers had any losses, I mean, that'd kind of be the end of their business model. So from that perspective, it's pretty good. Now, but from another perspective, I am not personally giving anybody my Bitcoin for 6% or 4% or whatever it is. I won't do that. Why would I risk 100% of my asset that I made it back to make 4 or 5 or 6%? It doesn't work for me. So I don't do that. Those are my thoughts. Tommy Luck says, I'm sorry I'm a bit late. Well, better late than never, Tommy Luck. Good to have you. Allah says, how do I buy it anonymously? Well, the best way to buy it anonymously would be either one, use a website like Hodl Hodl, and that will match you up with buyers. So you meet somebody, you give them cash, you buy it, or use Bitcoin ATMs. They're everywhere, and use a Bitcoin ATM to do it. So those are probably the two best ways. Or you could earn it, have someone pay you in it as well. Um, Jeffrey Marshall says you're smart. I wish the Biden administration was half as smart as you. The Biden administration, yeah. Oh boy, that's a whole nother topic. Um, Cream asks, how will tapering affect Bitcoin? So tapering is right now the Federal Reserve, is buying bonds, $120 billion a month. And they're doing that to keep the markets propped up. They keep saying that they're going to start tapering, meaning they'll start buying less and less. So instead of 120 a month, they'll go down to 110, 100, 90, 80, etc. They'll taper it down. I don't believe that the Fed can really taper or raise rate anything meaningful. So could they raise rates, 0.2%? Maybe. Could they taper from 120 to 110? Maybe. I don't think they can. I don't think they can taper anything meaningful because it would crash the markets. Now, if the markets were to crash, what would happen to Bitcoin? We don't know. Obviously, Bitcoin hasn't been around long enough to see what would have happened. I would say probably the best example of what would happen in a market crash would be looking at gold. And so, what happened to gold? So, we can look at the last two crashes of gold. We can look in 2008. The stock market crashed, gold crashed as well. The stocks crashed about 60%, gold crashed about 25%. So I would rather lose 25% than 60, so that's pretty good. But more importantly, because the stimulus, the central bank started printing a bunch of money, gold shot back up. As a matter of fact, gold got back to its previous high in I think 6 or 7 months, and it took the stock market like 7 years to get back its losses. So I would rather get my money back in 7 months than 7 years. But even more than that, gold went on to shoot way past its all-time high, and it went from like a low of like 680 to 2,000 bucks. So an amazing run. And so we also saw the same in March of 2020 when the pandemic happened. Gold and Bitcoin both crashed when the stocks did as well. But both gold and Bitcoin shot way higher and faster than stocks did. So in the event of tapering, they crash the market. I think that we might see Bitcoin and gold take a temporary dip and then shoot way higher and faster. Denny asks, I feel Latin America is going to be better to live and make business from than legacy Anglo countries in the future. What do you think? I don't know. Yeah, Denny, I don't think you can just even blanket statement it like that. So, for example, what's going on in Chile right now is horrible. Chile, the government has been taken over by communists. They're writing an entire new constitution, and that's not going to be good. So, that's definitely not going to be better. Um, it's unfortunate to see Costa Rica this week or last week announce that they're going to put a mandate in place, a VX mandate, if you know what I mean. And so that was just very disappointing to see in Costa Rica. El Salvador, Nicaragua, Mexico seem pretty good, but I just don't think you can blanket statement anything like that, Denny. Whoa, look at this. SAS Crypto sent me 20 bucks. What? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. SAS Crypto, shout out to you. Big ups. Boom, boom. What questions you got? I got you got me for the rest of the night. What do you got? What else we got here? LGX2 got me $5. Thank you, LGX2. Lots of people are buying XRP, believing it will become part of the CBDC infrastructure and go to the moon. What are your thoughts? Well, my thoughts on that are no. And here's what I mean. I don't think that any central bank digital currency, I don't think any government, any central bank will use XRP. We see how easy it is to start up your own blockchain, your own cryptocurrency. They pop up every single day. There's 10,000 of them there around today. You can grab one, you can fork it, and you can make your own copy of it. The central banks, we already know, like in the Federal Reserve, is working on their own from MIT. There's no. I don't live in a world of absolutes. So I'll say the probability, the chance, the probability of any central bank using any token for that matter, but XRP, is just barely over zero. Again, why would they use a token that was completely pre-mined and that the owners own the majority of the tokens and have control over when they could just go create their own? Anybody can create, and they are, and they have. So we already know they're already working on their own. We already know who they're working with, and it's not XRP. So I think the chance of that happening is zero. Well, just barely over zero. In 2017, when I was writing about XRP back then, I used to write a cryptocurrency research newsletter. From 2016 to 2019, I published over 1,000 pages of research on all the different crypto projects, including XRP. And at the time, I thought that was probably what's going to happen. But that was 4 years ago. Today, I don't think it's going to happen anymore. Tiger Roll says the new ETF sounds like a good way to buy Bitcoin. I don't think it's a good way to buy Bitcoin. I think you're better off just buying Bitcoin directly. One of the many revolutionary things about Bitcoin is that I can take custody of it myself. So let me explain what that means. Probably the oldest problem in humanity is storing my wealth, storing my value in a way that can't be stolen. So you might come steal my chickens. And so we form together, and now you might come steal my chickens and our goats. And so we create a village, and then we create a kingdom, and then we create a country. And if I stored my wealth in gold, my gold is big. I have to build a safe, and then I have to build the walls, then I have to hire security, and it costs a lot of money to store the gold. And then if I want to transfer, it's very difficult. So storing, that's the entire point of the United States, of a government. The government is there to protect the private property rights. That's the number one goal. So if I can store my wealth, like in Bitcoin, that can be cryptographically secured, that costs me $0 to secure, and I can take it with me portable anywhere, that solves the oldest problem of humanity. Now, I don't know exactly how much that changes the world in the future, but if when you solve the oldest problem of humanity, it's a big shift. And that's because I can take custody of myself. Now, that's the revolutionary piece. So why would I want someone else to hold it for me? Because that creates counterparty risk. And let me tell you a sad tale about that. So obviously, gold was money for 5,000 years. People used gold. Well, gold is very big and heavy and hard to move around. So, of course, it's not convenient. And so I put the gold in the bank. The bank gives me a paper gold certificate. So now I can trade the paper gold certificates while the gold sits in the bank. Well, in 1933, when the banks had all the gold, they went on a banking holiday. They shut the banks down for a week. They're shut down. When they opened the banks back up, you're not allowed to get your gold out of the bank anymore. It's illegal now. We seized your gold. That's called counterparty risk. Anytime you give somebody your asset, there's a chance you don't get that asset back. The government already sees gold, and so why would I want someone to hold my Bitcoin when they could potentially take my Bitcoin from me? The entire revolution, well, not one of the most revolutionary pieces is that I can custody it myself, and it costs me no money to do it. So why wouldn't I do that? Why would I do it through that? In addition, the ETF has all kinds of fees on top of it. Why do I want to pay fees? I don't want to do that. Also, on top of that, the Bitcoin ETFs have been underperforming the Bitcoin asset overall. So you're going to get underperformance. You're going to pay a boatload of fees, and you're going to lose. You're going to have all that counterparty risk of not getting it back. So I don't know why you do that. Giovanni Bering says, "Is there a way to make a lender happy without selling my Bitcoin? I want to buy an investment property and would like to expertise on this." Yeah, you just borrow against it. So borrow against your Bitcoin. So there's lots of platforms to do that with BlockFi. Obviously, they're one of my sponsors. BlockFi.com/Mark. Go there and you can just get a loan against your Bitcoin. That way you don't sell your Bitcoin. You borrow the money. One, that's not a taxable event, so you get the money tax free, and two, then you can keep your Bitcoin so it keeps going up in value. I see Will Rolls asking a similar question that I just answered. Biowarcon Stacker NZ says, "What's the best defense against the mandate?" Say no. Don't comply. That's it. Don't comply. Ghost Music says, "Don't abandon the whiteboard, sir. Those videos are great. I love watching you walk through the articles and highlight the information being discussed." Great. Thank you, Ghost Music. A lot of people were liking the videos that I was just doing from here. So that's how I was doing it. But I'm gonna keep doing the whiteboard videos. Thanks for letting me know. Someone says thoughts on staking crypto for interest. So I just kind of explained that. As an investor, I want an asymmetric opportunity. I want something that has more upside than downside. I want to bet $10 and have a chance to make 100. But when I stake crypto for interest, it's kind of the opposite way, right? If I give you my crypto, there's a chance I don't get that back. So that's 100% risk. And in return for that 100% risk, you're going to pay me 6% or 8%. So I'm going to risk 100 to make 6 or 8. So that's not the way that I like to go. I want to risk 6 or 8 to make 100. And so for that reason, I'm not a big fan of it. Edwin Sparks, what should be a top priority right now for someone who doesn't have savings? Is it better to prepare for a crash via obtaining a Bitcoin or better prepare for the possibility of utilities? So Edwin Sparks, the top priority right now for someone who doesn't have savings should be to make more money, right? So forget investing. You need to focus on creating more money. There's three ways you have to think about money. Think about one, wealth creation. You have to make money. Wealth creation. Two, after you've made money, you need to invest that money. That's wealth accumulation. And then once you've accumulated enough money, you need to protect it. That's wealth preservation. So you don't have any savings. So right now you're at step one. You need to focus on making more money, wealth creation. And so you need to learn a high value skill. Typically high value skills are stuff that's around the money supply, sales and marketing. If I went to your business and said, "Hey, if I bring you $100,000 of business, would you give me 10,000?" Everybody would say yes. 100% of the people would say yes. So if I can do sales and marketing to bring value to that business, I can make money. So you could learn how to do Facebook advertising, for example. You could learn how to do copywriting. You could learn how to do video editing. You could learn how to, build funnels, things like that. So Edwin Sparks, I would focus on number one, wealth creation. By the way, I'm having a live event in Miami next month. Come hang out with me and my friends, 15 of the top experts in the world. We are going to be talking about how to build, grow, and protect your wealth and your freedom and financial sovereignty. All right. This is what you need to know for right now. I got Anthony Pompliano coming. I got Robert Breedlove coming. I got my good buddy George Gammon. I know a lot of you guys like George Gammon. Brent Johnson. The Dollar Milkshake guy, Gerald Salente, he's a legend. Greg Foss. I got Katie the Russian coming to talk about Plan B, passports, flag theory, jurisdictional arbitrage. I got Dr. Joe Mercola, the legend in natural health and the number one target of censorship, coming to talk about how we can build our health. I have Mike Dillard coming to talk about how to build cash flow. It's the most requested thing. How do we build cash flow? Yaya Bakari is going to talk about how to protect your assets, lower your tax liability, and protect your assets away from the government. Remember, by 2030, you'll own nothing, be happy. Well, not if you do what Yaya says. He's going to hold a workshop. And so there's actually going to be a couple hours in a workshop where he's going to show you exactly how to do that. So come hang out in person, marketdisruptorslive.com. You definitely want to be there for that. I'm going to go ahead and just put the link. As a matter of fact, it's linked at the top of this chat. You'll see it. May 2276. What's it like living in Puerto Rico? It's like summer every single day. Every single day, it's the same temperature, it's the same weather. The sun sets at the same time every day because we're right around the equator. So it's great. MM20. Aren't destruction of jobs and supply chain disruptions part of the Great Reset? If so, aren't the mass walkouts expediting that? Yes, and yes. We are doing Klaus work. What's the solution? So yes, we are. The destruction of jobs and supply chain disruptions are part of the Great Reset, I guess. I mean, they want to reset things. They keep saying build back better, right? Well, building back means that you tore it down first. So it's not like about improving. They say build back, which implies that they tear down first. Think about that. So aren't the mass walkouts expediting that? Yeah, they are, but that's what we do, right? We have to disobey. Throughout the last 100 years, the last century, hundreds of millions of people have died. Hundreds of millions of people through Russia, through Nazi Germany, through Chinese communists under Mao. Hundreds of millions of people died, all because they obeyed. Not because they disobeyed. They all died because they obeyed. And so, what we can do is we can walk out, we can walk off the job, we can protest, we can not comply. When the Berlin Wall fell in Germany, it's because the people stopped complying. They just stopped. We're not going to comply anymore. We're going to go sit in the wall. That's what they did. Um, Gary Peters, we are all joining you in wanting to maintain freedom. Thank you, Gary. That is what I'm talking about, Gary. Waking up the sleeping lions just like you, Gary. Let's all go get it together. Come to my event, marketdisruptorslive.com. Come meet some other lions, Gary. Shantae Brisbane says, how much Bitcoin should a new investor buy? Well, it's a great question. I would say that typically you would want to invest more, don't invest more than you want to lose. And so I don't know how much money you have, and I think about things in terms of percentages. So first thing I would do is I would say, well, my living expenses are $1,000 a month or $10,000 a month or 30,000, whatever they are. I probably want at least 3 months of living expenses kind of liquid, and then put the rest in the Bitcoin or spread around Bitcoin, energy positions, some gold, some things like that. GMG Vault says, how many more months do you think we can sustain this bull cycle before a major correction? You think? I think we could go another 18 months at the rate the central banks are going. Little Kim says, thank you what you do, sir. I came from a communist country and don't want to see it happen to any countries on this earth. That's some great perspective. Thanks for sharing that. Ignite27 is asking what lending loaning platform is good one to use. Well, I said, BlockFi. Go to blockfi.com/mark. I like them. They are a US based company. Again, they won't be doing any fraud or rug pulling on you. And they have a giant war chest of funds. I think they're probably the number one backed, like venture capital backed, hedge fund backed company out there. So they have massive amounts of money. And again, if users lose any money, their business is over. And so they'll use that war chest to pay for over funds, and they have a big war chest. So because of those reasons, I like them. Gunblazer Blazin says, "Let's go, Brandon." Yeah, let's go, Brandon. Did you see in Australia they they passed a, I guess they made a rule or passed a law in the government that if anybody says that, they get kicked out of government or they lose their job, they get fired or whatever. Armando Aguilar says George is live right now as well. Ah, well, we should have gone live together. I think he's going live like 5 times a day now. No scarcity there. Um, make sure to click that like button too, by the way. If you're just joining in, thank you for joining in. Click that like button. The more likes I get, the more likely I'll be going live again. Send me some super chats. The first time I've ever done it before. Send me a super chat. I'll make sure to answer your question because they stick out really well. Also, I'm having a live event in Miami next week. Speaking of George Gammon, he will be speaking at my live event. Hopefully see you there. That's marketdisruptorslive.com. I see someone say, did you answer your question, Jennifer? Ask again. I don't see Jennifer's question. Sorry, there's so many here. I see a lot of "Let's go Brandon." Isn't that funny? I just love that. It's great seeing that over and over. "Let's go Brandon" over and over and over. Mitch Belfi says Bitcoin crashed in March 2020. It will follow the market. Yeah, it did, and we already talked about that. Just like gold crashed in 2008 as well. The difference is that while the market has gotten just back up over to its all-time high, Bitcoin is up thousands of percent, thousands. So it's a little bit different. Let's go Brandon. Let's go Brandon. Lots of them. Lots of them. I love that. There we go. Kurt Weber, $5. What do we got, Kurt Weber? What is the best surfing spot you've ever been? Also, do you snowboard much? Kurt, yes and yes. So I thought I wanted to chase a little pro snowboard career, and so I went really, really hard and heavy at that for a while. I love it, and I still snowboard quite a bit, and I love surfing as well. The best surfing spot you've ever been? Shoot, I would say probably Tavarua in Fiji. It's probably the best surfing spot I've ever been. Um, yeah, I have to say that. And probably the best snowboard spot. I did a trip to Baldface up in Canada, and it was amazing. 4 days of cat boarding. It was insane, Kurt. Thanks for asking. Hopefully, I can go back to Canada and do that again one day. Right now, I won't be doing that. Uh, Tim Bourdreau says, I know that there's no remote option for Mark's event in Miami. That's true. There is a live stream option. So if you want to live stream it, you can. You can come either in person or you can attend virtually, live stream. Either way you want to do that, Tim, you can do that. Thoughts on Bitcoin machines at the market here in Los Angeles? Alina Cat is asking that. I think you're asking about Bitcoin ATMs. I answered earlier that I think if you want to get Bitcoin, without KYC, a Bitcoin ATM is probably a good way to do that. You have to find the ones where you can do it. Some of them do require it, some don't. Some require like a phone number, so you can get like a burner phone, and then I think you do have like $600 with a burner phone, and you might have to go to a bunch of different ATMs to do that, depending on how much you're trying to buy. Um, Ignite says, I work for American Airlines and I hope they take a stance like Delta Airlines did. I hope they do too, because I fly American all the time and I would like to continue flying American, but I'd like to see them make a stance like Delta did. We vote with our money and we vote with our feet, and so I need to do that. And so hopefully American Airlines follows along. By the way, Thursday, I'm doing another stream, not on YouTube, a private one where I can talk differently. We're going to talk specifically about the energy market and where the opportunities are. We've been making a lot of money in energy specifically. Natural gas is up 800%, electricity is up 400%, and that's going to create enormous profits for us. Unfortunately, most people are going to get wiped out. Don't let that happen to you. So if you want to come to that event and find out how my inner circle works, how you can work with me directly through my inner circle, we'll be talking about that opportunity as well, and that's on Thursday night. Jay says you need a moderator to do questions. or just focus on the super chats. Yeah, well, I don't have enough super chats to just focus on, so I'm trying to dig through the questions. Matthew Jimenez. Is that Matt? What's up, buddy? How do you feel about the pushback from Southwest Airlines stopping flights? I love it, right? Again, right? Hundreds of millions of people have died this century because they obeyed. And so I love to see people standing up. I love to see civil disobedience. I'm not advocating violence, what like Antifa does. I think that's horrible. But I do love civil disobedience. Um, Beaner McBean, would a Bitcoin crypto mining rig be a good investment? It can be. I think for the most part, you're probably better off just buying Bitcoin directly instead of trying to get into mining. There's the cloud mining. I've always kind of thought of as a scam. There's one company I'm doing some work with right now that is doing really good. Once I finish testing it out, if it's good, I'll be talking about it more. But I think for the most part, you're probably better off just buying Bitcoin. Rodrigo Silva says, "Have you surfed in Rosarito, Mexico?" Yeah, 100 times. As a matter of fact, I have a wave runner, and in the winter we go down and go to the power plant, which I'm sure you know about, Baja Malibu. We have those big waves in the winter. Blake W says, "Where's the link to buy tickets?" If you're talking about Blake, if you're talking about for the live event, if you just look at the top, it's pinned, and it says live event Miami, and it's just marketdisruptorslive.com, marketdisruptorslive.com. George Gammon, myself, Robert Breedlove, Anthony Pompliano, Gerald Salente, on and on and on. 15 of the top experts in the world that will help you build, grow, and protect your wealth. We're talking about Plan B. We're talking about passports, asset protection, building cash flow, all the things you need to do to survive the next couple of years. Experts tell you what they think is going to happen over the next couple of years and what to do to survive it. So at the top, marketdisruptorslive.com. And by the way, click on that like button. Laurie Crass says, Laurie, you're a prisoner, locked down in Australia, unable to attend Florida. Will you be able to do it online? Yes. And so with the ticket, you can either attend live or you can get it virtually, and you could watch it online. I don't recommend that, but since you're in Australia and you can't get out of the country, it's your only option. By the way, Stefan Lavera is going to be there speaking, and he did recently, I think 2 months ago, finally got out of Australia. I think it took him he had to file like 4 times to get out, and they finally let him out. Kevin Opar says, "Will El Salvadorian citizens have to pay taxes in Bitcoin, or do they have a choice to pay in USD?" I believe they just pay their. Actually, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't want to make an assumption what they pay their taxes in. I would imagine they could probably pay either because they're both legal tender. They're both recognized as legal tender. I don't really know the answer to that though. Cogito says there was a walkout today in California schools protesting the October 3rd announcement by our friend Newsom. Wow, that's cool to hear, Cogito. That's cool. I haven't heard about that today. Make sure you are hitting like on this right now. Make sure you're hitting like on that. Ignite 27. I'm so close to reserving my seat to this live event. Well, then what's holding you back, Ignite? Come on, man. Just get it done. Well, there's still discounted tickets. Make sure to do that. Like I said, you're not going to want to miss this. And unfortunately, I mean, I hate to say this, but like, who knows if you can go to a live event next year? This may be your, I don't want to say your last chance. I don't want to get that fear mongering, but like, the rate things are going, I mean, go while you can, Ignite. Hope to see you there. Kevin Opar says, I skipped a few super chats. I did. Let me see. I don't think I did. There's Yosef. 499. My car can sell for 8,000 more than what I owe. I want to sell it, utilize the cash. I know long term better to keep my car. What are your thoughts? Well, um, if you need your car, like to get to a job or to make money, then you probably want to keep that. Um, it depends on, these answers aren't easy because it depends. And I know you don't want to hear that answer. Depends, right? It depends on other things. I don't know how much money you have. I don't know what other assets you have. I don't know how old you are. I don't know what your goals are. I don't know where you live. I mean, there's so much more that goes into that. So you could sell your car, walk away with $8,000. I don't know what kind of car you have. Could you buy a $4,000 car and drive that around? Are you okay on an electric bicycle going back and forth to work? Um, you know, are you young? Do you make a lot of money? Do you feel like risking it onto Bitcoin? Maybe you double your money and then you buy another car in 6 months from now. I mean, these are all options. It's hard for me to say because I don't understand all of your information. But I mean, if you need a car, you may want to keep that car, right? I mean, if you need a car to make money, right? So Eduardo Bilbao, been following me for a few years now. Thank you, thank you. Let me look at the super chats here. So I'm stoked about. Here's one. So okay, I see Gurdip Singh asked, 999. Thank you, Gurdip. Appreciate it. Hey, Mark, is Tether still a problem for crypto, and will there be sell the news event tomorrow? So, Gurdip, I don't think Tether is really a problem for crypto anymore. So what do I mean by that? First off, when Tether first started, it was the only stablecoin, and so because it was the only stablecoin, it was used a lot. Today, there's lots of stablecoins, and so the percentage of stablecoin market, Tether, is very, very small today. Second of all, why is anyone holding Tether anyway? Typically, they would just move out of position into Tether and then they go back into position. And so you're kind of temporary there. Let's just say that, for example, hypothetically, every single person holding Tether lost all their money. Okay, so what? I mean, it sucks for those people. They lost their money, but how does that affect the ecosystem? I don't know, right? What people thought is they were saying that, what people thought was that they were saying that Tether was being used to pump up the price of Bitcoin, and if Tether went away, then Bitcoin wasn't going to ever be pumped again. Well, that was proven to be false over and over and over again. And so, really, at the end of the day, right now, if Tether went away, people that are holding it, unfortunately, they'd lose their money, and that would suck for them. I don't see what that would do to affect the entire crypto space, especially considering that Tether is such a small percentage. Now, on to Tether itself. What it looks like what they've been doing is they've been taking some of their money, and instead of holding it in cash like they should, they've been trying to invest that money, and they're trying to earn higher yields on that money. And it looks like potentially some of the investments they've made could be bad investments, and so potentially they could lose some of that money. And so if you're holding Tether, you maybe don't want to do that. Just turn it into a different stablecoin and then get out of the way. But overall, I don't see it dragging down the entire ecosystem. I see Brado Jacko asked a question, um, and it looks like you've paid me twice because I missed you, and I'm sorry about that, brother. Is URA the best nuclear energy play? So the best is a relative term. Best for what? I would say no. I don't think it's the best nuclear energy play. I like it because it's a United States-based company, and per the infrastructure bill, if the United States goes to nuclear, then they're going to buy nuclear from the United States companies, and it could. But as of right now, I think there's other energy plays that are doing much better. We're going to be talking about that on Thursday night. So if you want to come on Thursday night, we're going to talk all about energy and the different sectors and where the best places to invest in those different sectors, because there's a bunch of different places with energy. Coal, obviously, coal, natural gas, um, uh, and nuclear. And that is on Thursday. That's also pinned at the top of this chat as well. It's a go onemarkmoss.com/energy. Go onemarkmoss/energy. I'll just put it in the chat again, so it's there. Who else did I miss? Yosef asked again, yep, I want to invest that cash, take the risk while there's time. So yeah, if you don't need the car, you can take the 8,000 bucks, maybe buy a $2,000 car, $3,000 car, you have, $5 or $6,000 left to invest. Take that money, put it into Bitcoin, double it next year, buy another car. Maybe that works for you. You're young, you don't need the car as much, whatever. So maybe that's the time. I mean, when you're young, it's the time to do that kind of stuff. I know when I was young and I started a business, I had a wave runner and I had a dirt bike and I had to sell both of those things to get the money I needed to start my business. And it sucked because I had to give up those things, but it was worth it in the long run because it enabled me to do a lot more things. Meandering Musing sent me 20 bucks. Boom. Thank you for the generosity of spirit. I appreciate that. Make sure to like this. Give me some likes. If you guys like this, I'll make sure to come back and do these more. And come join me on Thursday. We're going to talk about the energy markets and we're going to talk about the sectors where you want to be investing. And you can find out about my inner circle private group that I work with, very small group. I'll talk about that as well. What other super chats did I miss? Plumber Stacker is asking, do you suggest buying gold and silver heavier now with all the additional printed money, or just moderately like I've been doing? Plumber Stacker, I kind of stacked up on my gold positions last year when gold was pumping, and I haven't really been buying any more lately. I think there's other places to put my money into the market. Plus, I'm already kind of at my allocation in that. I don't want to do any more. So for me. Because I'm already at those allocations, I'm not putting more into the market at these prices. If I didn't have allocations, I think these are good prices to get into gold and silver. So it kind of depends on where you're at. So if you're just getting started, I think it's worth taking some positions. But if you already have some positions, I'm not adding to them at this point. Dude, dirty dollar. What? $100? Dang. Boom, give them up, big up, big up. Dirty dollar. I really appreciate the knowledge you share to the world. Thank you so much for saying that. I feel like you should ask a question so I could reciprocate somehow, but I appreciate that. Thanks so much. That's awesome. Divine Feminine living in the UK. You sent me $1.49. Thank you. No question, so I won't answer that. Gurdip Singh says Invesco dropped the ETF futures. Will there be a sell the news tomorrow for ProShares ETF? I don't think so. I think we already kind of saw a little bit of that sell the news. So Bitcoin dropped from like 62,000 to 60, and then of course it popped back up. I don't think this is going to be a sell the news moment. Now, a lot of people point to what happened in 2017 when the ETF first, or the futures first opened in 2017 in December. It's the highest point of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin dropped from there. And so that was it was announced in July. That was by the rumor from July, and then the news came out in December and then it dropped. So a lot of people point to that. I don't think this is going to be the case of that, to your point, Gurdeep. So hopefully that makes sense. Man, thanks so much, guys, for putting that money in there. That's awesome. And yeah, let's go, Brandon. Hit that like button. Tapas Kumar says, how often do you buy Bitcoin and when is the recent one? And so that's a good question. So this year, I've been buying a lot of Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, if I would have bought the amount of Bitcoin I bought this year, if I would have bought that when I started in 2015, I'd be a different person today. I'd been on a whole other level. But it was too risky back then. Today, I feel like almost all the risk is gone, but there's still massive upside. So I'm almost like literally just sweeping my money into it on a regular basis. It's like my reserve. And so I'm not saving my money in the bank. I'm just saving it in Bitcoin now. And so however often that is, maybe every 60 days I've been buying. I think the last time I bought Bitcoin, it was at like 55,000 a few months ago before it had dropped back down. Keto Triathlete. $4.99. Thank you, Keto. What would you do for main source of income if you had to start from scratch? Good question. If I had to start from scratch, I would do marketing. So probably the very first thing I'd do if I had to start from scratch is I would need money right away. So there's two things that I would do. I would probably what I could do is I could go to any business. I could go down to my downtown. I could walk into any business, the surf shop or the bakery or whatever, and say, if I drive you $20,000 of revenue, will you pay me $2,000? I would imagine everybody would do that. And then I would probably go in and I would look at their business and I'd figure out a couple marketing tweaks and I'd figure out how to raise their money. Keto Triathlete. There's a really good show. I would just look it up. It's called The Undercover Billionaire. And they started from scratch. It's amazing. They did that. So that's probably what I'd do. The second thing that I'd probably do is I would work on launching a new product. So I sell a digital product, an information product. And so what I would do is I'd probably launch a new information product because I'm starting from scratch, but I still have my knowledge, right? So I have no money, but I have my knowledge. And so what I would do then is I would probably go into Facebook, start a Facebook group on a particular topic like keto, for example. I do intermittent fasting. I'm like high fat, low carb, so I know keto. So I could go create a keto product. I'd go create a keto group. I'd bring people in there. I'd provide massive value, answer people's questions, provide value for 30 days. At the end of 30 days, I would say, hey, I'm going to have this event. And if you want, come to this live event and coach people through. And then I'd probably sell them like a coaching program or something like that. And then I could make money just for providing my information to those people. So that's what I would do if I had to start over from scratch. And the benefit of that in today's day and age is a way I can make money online. So then I can go anywhere in the world. If I have to move to Mexico or if I have to move to Europe, I can do that business anywhere I go. 50 David sent me $5 thinking about relocating. Which U.S. state do you think would be the safest? Priorities are freedom, food, and a good job market. Well, I mean, Florida and Texas obviously come to mind. So those two are there. I think both of those are probably the top ones that stand out to me. That's where I would think about going. But I mean, also overlooked are Oklahoma, North Dakota, even Wyoming. And those are also really good as well. Up in Montana is really good. Idaho is really good, but Texas and Florida would probably be the ones that I would look at right off the bat. All right, all right. Next month, I'm having a live event in Miami, the Market Disruptors live event. It's linked at the top of the super chat. Market Disruptors live event. 15 of the top experts in the world will tell you what they think is going to happen over the next couple of years and what you need to do to survive, build, grow, protect your wealth, but also your assets and your freedom and your health. 2 days, immersive. Come hang out with us. Super important to an event while you still can make new friends, build out your network. Your network is your net worth. Come to that. We got some more super chats. Brent Hensley, how will Yellen's $600 reporting affect the average citizen? It's nearly everyone. Well, how will it affect everyone? Well, basically, what that rule is for everyone who doesn't know is that they say that every bank account that has more than $600 in it, they're going to report every single transaction. Well, and then Yellen says it's not every transaction, but they're going to report it all to the IRS. So she says what they're going to do is that they want to look at the total, what you report on your tax return, and the total flows to your bank account. So if you report $50,000 on your tax return, but $3 million goes through your account, then they're going to flag that. So if you're 100% above the board and you're doing everything and you're reporting everything perfectly, then how will it affect you? It won't. Um, doesn't mean I don't like it. Of course I don't like it. They shouldn't. It's illegal for them to do that. There's laws specifically preventing them from doing that. I have a video on my channel where I go deep into that specific topic. Um, but so I don't like it. But for the most people, it probably won't affect them at all. But if you're like, let's say that you're in a cash business, you're a landscaper or a mechanic, and you're a cash business, it's probably going to affect you because that money can go through your bank account. So think about that. Thanks, Brett Hensley. Appreciate that. Dumb Money Media. Take a gander at how to barter for silver. Upload Peach, also American Horror Story Federal Reserve. I think you will like it, Mark. Thank you. I'll check those out. I haven't heard for either of those. So Dumb Money Media, appreciate that. American Horror Story Federal Reserve. That one piques my interest. As a matter of fact, I'm going to grab that right now. Everybody listening, go ahead and check that out as well. American Horror Story Federal Reserve. I can't vouch for it because I haven't seen it yet, but I am going to go watch it. Thank you so much, Dumb Money Media. McCool says, sent me a cool $5. Thanks, McCool. We recommend selling some Bitcoin for cash flow if prices rise significantly. And what price do you recommend buying up to? Thanks. So McCool, I wouldn't really know. And so what I would do for cash flow is I would borrow against the Bitcoin. So let's say, for example, obviously depends on your tax situation, but if you have short-term capital gains, less than 12 months, and I needed, let's say, $100,000, well, I would have to sell $200,000 worth of Bitcoin, pay the tax to have the 100,000 I need. Or what I could do is I could borrow 100,000 against the 200,000, use that 100,000 to get the cash flow and assets that I need, but I still have the $200,000 of Bitcoin to go up in value. I didn't pay the tax. So that's what I would do, McCool. Borrow against it. I have a video on my channel called How to Retire Off of Bitcoin, and I break all this down, all the numbers, all the metrics, the percentages, where I think Bitcoin's going. The whole thing is in that guide. So check that out, McCool. And then what price do you recommend buying up to? Thanks. I think just keep buying it. So is Bitcoin cheap or is Bitcoin expensive? Well, it's expensive compared to when it was zero 10 years ago. I think it's cheap compared to where it could be in 5 years from now. And so I would say just keep buying. That's my plan. I'm just going to keep buying it. There's other good places to put money too, and so I'm investing pretty heavy into this energy sector right now. There's a lot of money to be made there. I still think the gold miners, silver miners, I think they have some good upside in them. As I said, I'm not adding to them at this moment only because my allocations are full there. So those are the two areas that I'm really paying attention to the most. On Thursday night, we're going to have I'm going to have a special presentation just on the energy market and the opportunities that are there right now. At the top of the super chat or at the top of the chat, you'll see a link for that. It's go Mark Moss, go1markmoss.com/energy. If you want to come to that on Thursday night and hang out with me, we'll be talking about the energy market specifically and how to invest in that and make money on that. All-Nighter Hider says $600 is inflation of tyranny, not money supply. Yeah, what's interesting about that, Hider, is that $600 is inflation. So right now, if you do a transaction over $10,000 in cash, you have to report that, right? Well, that law went into effect in 1970. So at that time, because of inflation, $10,000 in today's dollars is about 68,000, so like $70,000. And so they should have raised the amount of cash that we could do, but instead they're going down to 600 bucks. I mean, that's just insane. Matt sent me another $5. What's up, Matt? What do you think about copper-related stocks as an investment at the moment? Please elaborate. Well, so Matt, copper is kind of the bellwether of the entire industry, of the entire world, right? So people track copper to find out where the economy is going because copper is one of the most used metals for building, so copper pipes and things like that. And so when you see the price of copper going up, then typically that means like the world economy is doing good, there's building, etc. I'm typically not following copper. It's not something very explosive for me. I'm mainly when it comes to metals, I'm typically just looking at gold and silver, but copper is also being used. There's other good reasons to get in copper right now. If this infrastructure bill goes through, for example, in the United States, they want to build out charging stations across the whole nation. They're going to have to rewire everything. It's going to be massive amounts of copper being used. And so I think there's some plays there. Just for me personally, I like to say that we need to understand our investing DNA. And so each one of us is different. And so for me, I just don't have a lot of interest in copper, so I don't spend a lot of time focusing on that. So hopefully that works for you, Matt. Appreciate your super chat. Hopefully that's a good answer for you. By the way, make sure to click like, click like on this, click like on this. Asintel says, what would be the best countries in South Central America to escape the Great Reset? I don't think you can blanket statement. We talked about this before, like Chile, for example. Communists have taken over their government. They're rewriting the constitution. Very, very bad. Costa Rica, unfortunately, last week made a mandate for the whole country. That's very bad. But then, you have El Salvador, Nicaragua, Mexico is still open, but things can change really quickly. And so I think you just have to kind of be prepared for that. Dumb Money Media. Thanks for looking into the upload. You got it, buddy. I'm going to look at it. I'm trying to make this a possible job so I can buy more food, silver, and Cardano. Love the vids, man. Thanks. What are you trying to make a possible job? You're making videos? Is that what you're doing? Let me see what it is here. Yeah, that's cool. So it's a short video, only a minute and 40. All right, well, good job. He's only got 268 subscribers, so everyone go check him out. Give him a couple follows. Um, see. Jelani Thompson says Chile looked great as a place to start a business, but they threw out the Constitution. Yeah, what a shame that they did there. It's unfortunate, Jelani. Um, Mark Debris says I'm in Mexico. It's not the place to consider to bug out during the Great Reset. No, I think it's pretty good. I'm actually building a house in Mexico as we speak, so I'm preparing a place in Mexico. I spent a lot of time down there. Alpha Centauri says, can the NWO take over the crypto or ban it like in China? Um, so first of all, anybody can do anything they want. I mean, they can ban anything they want. Um, doesn't mean they will shut it down. So they can prevent people from using it legally, but they can't stop it. All right, all right. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up. I've been going on for a lot longer than I had planned on, but you guys were just being so cool. I had to hang out. I am having a live event, marketdisruptorslive.com. It's next month in Miami. I would really, really love to meet each one of you there, shake your hand. It's so important to build that community. We're going to have two workshops, a workshop on asset protection. Remember, by 2030, you'll own nothing, be happy, but not if you protect your assets. So lower your taxes and protect your assets. We'll have a workshop, a couple hours just on that. We'll also have another workshop on Plan B living. We're talking about passports. We're talking about jurisdictional arbitrage. We are talking about um, flag theory, etc. So another workshop just on that, and then 2 full days of speakers, 15 speakers, tell you what they think is going to happen over the next 3 years and what you should do to prepare for it. If you want to build, grow, protect your wealth, your health, and your freedom, you need to come marketdisruptorslive.com. It's linked at the top of this chat. Click on that, and then, like I said, on Thursday, I'm having a live event that's not going to be on YouTube because I need to say things I can't say on YouTube. And we're talking specifically about the supply chains and the energy markets, and even more specifically, what we're doing to profit from this because natural gas is up 800%, electricity is up 400%, and we are making money in that space. So I want to talk about that. And of course, go Brandon. We'll talk about that as well. Um, all right. So with that, we're going to sign it off. Like I said, I'll be back live Thursday. If you want to come hang out, there's a link at the top. If you want to come hang out there, and I'll do more Q&A, more around just the energy and the supply chains and how we're going to profit from that. If you want to come hang out with me there Thursday, and then of course come hang out with me in Miami, marketdisruptorslive.com. Like this video, and if you guys like it enough, I'll do more of these live videos, especially if you guys give me super chats. I really appreciate that. And big, 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 big shout out to my man Dirty Dollar with the $100 tip. Boom. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. You're a champ. You didn't ask a question, so I feel like I didn't reciprocate good enough, but I appreciate that. Ignite says I might have to buy the ticket. Of course you have to buy the ticket, Ignite. Go do it right now. All right. With that, we're going to go ahead and sign it off. Like I always say, to your success, I'm out.